kind of like my Bill Cosby sweater, but it's officially sweater season where I live, so expect a lot of them. Yes, I dress like a 50-year-old man. Um, when I'm not doing that, I dress like a 14-year-old boy. So, things. This weekend, I finished reading Landline by Rowell, which has been kind of exploding all over the place. Because, it's Rowell and people generally like her. If you aren't familiar with the YA scene, not that I'm the most familiar with it, but if you are totally unaware of what's happening there, Rowell is a YA writer. She wrote her first adult novel this year called Landline. It came out probably a good month or two ago now. Landline is about a woman, Georgie, who is spending Christmas away from her husband and her children for the first time. They're going to Nebraska to her husband's family's home, and she's chosen to stay behind to do some work stuff. And her husband's super mad at her, and she's kind of mad at him, and everybody has kind of assumed that they have fallen apart. Georgie's mom assumes that Georgie and her husband are on the verge of divorce and insists that Georgie comes and stays with her for the time that her husband is away. Georgie is really resistant to this at first, but through kind of guilt and anxiety and not wanting to be alone, she slowly moves kind of back into her mother's house for the week. And when her husband stops picking up the phone and her cell phone keeps dying, she can't get in touch with them, she hooks up her childhood phone, which is a rotary phone from like whenever back. She was a teenager in the 80s and was kind of one of those teenagers who had a rotary phone. And she hooks it back up into the landline and tries to call her husband. What she doesn't realize at first is that she's actually calling her husband back in 1998, which was the last time they had kind of a huge blow-up fight and things just looked like they were ending. Georgie is convinced that she's having some sort of nervous breakdown or panic attack or hallucination, but decides to roll with it. She's not really sure what else to do, and she starts having these conversations that remind herself of what she values in her husband. Super fluffy. It's a really fluffy read. What I have enjoyed about Rowell in the past, and what I like about her still, is that she's got this great sense of timing, by which I don't mean like when things happen, because I think that generally, as far as pacing, her pacing is a little bit too quick or it drags. But she's really kind of talented at recreating times. A lot of what happens in her books, or in this particular book, is happening back in 1998. And it was really interesting to read her portrayal of 1998, and not just what 1998 was, but what it is looking back on 1998. I wasn't terribly old at the time, but was old enough certainly to remember a lot of what was happening as far as the world was kind of concerned. And it feels very genuine, the way that she portrays it, not just the events in those past years, but especially looking, the way she portrays someone looking back on events, I think is really very well done. The characters, I thought, left something to be desired. The characters are supposed to be caught up in their own kind of universe and their own egos and stories, and that's fine. I didn't mind that. I just wish we had had a little bit more of a well-rounded look into characters aside from Georgie. A lot of what happens revolves around Georgie, but also includes her husband, and we don't get a lot of insight into who he is, really. We definitely don't see a lot of the conflict that you know is going on behind the scenes. There's another character who's bringing a lot of conflict into her marriage, and we don't see a lot of that conflict building explicitly to begin with. Or we don't see a lot of scenes of that conflict building in the past either. And I thought that would have been a smart addition to the story. Overall, I think I'd give it a 3.5 out of 5 stars. It wasn't my favorite book, but Rowell is a really good kind of quick read, and she's kind of a go-to person if you want a really quick, fluffy read without a whole lot of investment. And like I said, her reflections on past eras, I think, is generally pretty spot on. So that's always a plus too. Anyways, I will talk to you guys later. Like I said, it's sweater weather now. It's officially dipped into the 40s, so we're in fall here. I hope it's warmer where you are. I will talk to you guys later. Bye.